Just fascinating. Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. Welcome to the Bunker and the Wheelhouse podcast, where we have reached episode 70. Catherine Bates, congratulations.
It's very exciting, isn't it? I thought you were like doing your play school audition there.
Look, it's exactly
there.
what it is. Yes, and then Mark Cavendish won yet another race.
Yes.
Mark starts with M. M is also for motorcycle. Run, run. What do you reckon?
I think that we had a really good formula for the first 69 episodes. I say we revert to that.
It's gone out the window. So much coming up in episode 70. It's the off season, so that continues to delight us with its many quirks and dazzlings, but also some sad news in the world of cycling, or particularly the Australian viewer-focused world of cycling. This week, we'll talk about the demise of the GCN app and what that means for your cycling viewing needs in Australia. Mathieu van der Poel learns the perils of making ridiculous bets and then losing them. And Kate, I believe some history made for the UAE as well. Some female recognition, well overdue, but we'll get into that as well.
Yes, it's for the off-season. There's a lot to talk about.
I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. I don't think there is an off-season. There's no off-switch.
I think we get more fun stuff coming through,
yes,
don't we?
We sure do. We definitely do. Now, I have had a busy week.
Have you done?
A
What
really
have you
busy
been
week.
doing?
Working incessantly, but I actually did my first little bit of Christmas shopping the other day, and I was like, oh, that's a good idea, I might grab that. And I made the mistake. Well, no, I wouldn't say mistake, but I went to the mall on a Saturday within 6 months of Christmas, basically.
Yeah, that's silly.
And it was crazy. It was bedlam. It was like, is the world ending and we're in some sort of, shelf clearing bedlam, chaos. I say bedlam again, whatever.
Just don't go on Boxing Day sales is all I can say. If there was bedlam.
Convenient segue, because there's another way you can get your shopping done, isn't there, Catherine?
There certainly is, Joel. We've still got bikebug.com on our monitor.
Yes.
And last week, Joel, you were mocking me when I said I wanted some new Oakleys. And I confessed I had about 20 pairs. And I said, but they're not very, the genre had changed.
Okay,
So what I wanted to do, I brought in a pair just to show you that the fashion has changed. Now, these are a pair of Oakleys that I got. They're called gas cans. And I got them in 2004 at the Olympics.
Right.
Let me just pop them on for you. What do we think? Merksy, darling, do you like them?
They weren't cool in 2004, let alone now.
Have you found John and Sarah Connor yet? Or are you still searching?
They are very Terminator. They're a little bit like Daft Punky, aren't they? But they do, on the arms, they have the flag of every nation on both arms, competing in the Olympics. That's cool. That's why I still have them.
That's a nice touch.
Memorabilia.
You have some great memorabilia.
Yeah, memorabilia.
Look at this. Our bunker, our set here is covered in all your best, all your jerseys, your Darth Vader. Your Darth Vader helmet as well. Your phone, your book.
No, you might notice, Joel, that on the desk today, I've actually pulled out some of my medals from World Championships, and I did that because we had one viewer suggest that I was a token expert for my opinion on something, and so I just thought I'd bring them out. But look, I suppose we've hit the big time since we're being trolled, right?
Yes, you got to be trolled. We'll jingling the medals at various intervals.
So I've just popped them out here.
I'm there with
it's like my mic drop.
I'll give them a jingle.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are looking for some shopping for your Oakleys or whatever it is leading up to Christmas, do remember we have our very own special discount code, just Wheelhouse. I think important to let you know, if you do jump on bikebug.com, use that 10% off with Wheelhouse, just Wheelhouse. You can only use it once, just the once.
Yes.
One turn per customer. But gee, I'll tell you what, 10% goes a long way at this time of year.
It does, and you can stack it on top of the Black Friday sales and then sail into Christmas.
Sail with sales. I love it very, very much. Now, Kate, you've been doing a bit of viewing as well, a bit of esports, I believe, during the week.
I have. I wanted to share this because this morning when I was sitting at my desk, when I work, Joel, I often listen to music or watch Netflix or something. It helps me focus to have a second stimulus, even if that sounds strange.
That. Yep.
Anyway, I got a notification on my phone that there was some esports racing on YouTube, and I thought, okay, so I dialed in, and Nathan dialed in. What am I on dial-up internet? I tuned in, Joel. And Nathan Guerra and Dave Toll were commentating on the esports. And shout out to both Nathan and Dave. We love you guys. And Dave came out with, he just cracks me up, his commentary. What he said was, downhills are the new uphills. Riders attack with fury and speed.
Oh, that's a great quote.
It's not a very good accent, but it's a great quote, isn't it? Downhills are the new uphills. So there you go.
Downhills are the new uphills.
That really speaks to me.
Up is down.
Gotta say.
Left is right. Okay,
Yes.
Merksy has a thought.
What does that even mean? Sorry.
It means that the riders, instead of waiting until the uphill section to attack,
Yeah.
they're now using that on the downhill section when people are taking a little bit of a breather, thinking this is safe to get some recovery. That in
Right.
esports, the riders are now kind of flipping it and taking the opportunity. I mean, we saw it at the Tour de France with Chris
P.
Froome. And
Feathers.
Yeah.
That incredible
Feathers Pidcock.
descent. Yeah, wow.
So there you go. Dave Toll, downhills are the new uphills.
Downhills are the new uphills. I think, geez, a shame they beat us. That would have been a ripper of a
I know.
slogan for the Wheelhouse podcast.
I know. But I think that our audiences probably overlap. So I think we could possibly co-own it.
Be a good bumper sticker.
There you
Be a
go.
good
Downhill
bumper
is the
sticker.
new uphill. Now,
So there you
Berksy. G'day, Berksy, who's not actually named Berksy, but Merksy, we've got your bunker within the bunker camera on. Can you just, for those watching on...
Here it is.
I'm just looking at the set there. You've got world champion Barbie, which is great. Barbie in rainbows. And a statue... Oh, no, world championship, of course, Sagan Peter.
Sagan Peter.
And an absolute Adonis of a human male posing for a sculpture, Merksy.
Yeah, he's all right, isn't he?
He goes all right. He's all right.
That's for our audio listeners
Yes.
only.
Yes.
You're going to be wishing right now you were a video watcher, or maybe not, I don't know. But it is the statue of David with your head on it, of course, Joel.
Yes, exactly.
So it's lovely. Wout is missing. So
that's my next question.
that's the only way for me to get his name into this week's rundown. So there it is.
He's not missing. He's in the recycling.
Is it?
The Wout poster thrown out. Was there anything that triggered that decision, or just...
Too much Wout. Wout is out.
Wout is out. Wow. Okay.
Wout is out.
I'm secretly going, yes, under the desk here, but we love Wout here at the Wheelhouse. You know what else we love is we love history-making feats and accomplishments. And there's been one during the week, the first UAE female cyclist to qualify for the Olympics. What do we know about Safiya Al Sayegh?
It's pretty exciting. She's only 22 years old, the first Emirati woman and only the second ever from the United Arab Emirates to qualify for road cycling at the Olympics. So she's guaranteed a spot because they've just put out all the quotas, and the points cutoff for a lot of the qualification has happened per nation. So in some countries they'll still be fighting for that. But it is fantastic for her, and it is a very historic moment, not just for female cycling, but for female sport, and for the Emirati women who have not been very well represented.
Yeah.
So it's pretty incredible. They've got a fantastic team over there. They've got, of course, the UAE men's team that we know a lot about. Thanks, Podgy. Thanks, Jay Fine. But their women's team is really growing too. And I know they're putting a lot of focus in trying to get a lot more women on bikes and comfortable on bikes. And I just think that this is a fantastic first step in really supercharging that effort.
She has quite a laundry list of historic achievements. And I guess it's coming from, as you say, getting those opportunities, getting that sport on the map, the women's sport in that part of the world. But UAE's first professional female, first to sign a contract, of course, with the UCI World Team. So she's a legitimate trailblazer. I find that words like that are thrown around in sport a lot. And, fair play to people who sort of earn them, but she's absolutely earned it.
In Australia, it's pretty hard to be a trailblazer in many sports anymore, even for the women, because we are so advanced in our development of it. And we moan here in Australia about women's sport, but we are light years ahead of some other nations. And so, it's good news.
It really is.
I mean, in the off-season, our news tends to be less newsy and more current affair-y, but I like this. I like that this is a good piece of news to share.
We've gone from news to CAF, and I'm glad that we
much.
have, because this is great. These are fantastic. Now, Australian Aussies are also in the news. Our girl Roy, Roy, making a move from Canyon SRAM as well.
Yeah, she's headed to Cofidis. So we've got Josie Talbot over there as well and Rachel Nayland. So very family friendly to the Aussies, so to speak. And it's great for her to extend her career for a few more years. She's looking to go to Paris on the track as well. But, I think we've talked about quotas and how strange that is. So if you're riding on the track, at least one, if not two, will have to be riding on the road as well. So I think this is an opportunity that allows her the freedom to really pursue her goals in what is realistically the back end of her career. And I like that, I think that is quite empowering to be able to make those choices. We discussed it with regard to Luke Plapp as well.
We love Plappy.
Being in a position where you can say, these are my goals, this is what's important. I need to find a team to support that and not have to kind of go cap in hand to your team director and say, please, sir, no
absolutely.
Oliver Twisty.
Yeah.
Great news. We love Roy.
We do love Sarah Roy.
I mean, full disclosure, I'm very biased. My sister coaches her.
It's all in the family.
Aside from that.
Your extended cycling family, which literally goes all the way to Jonas Vingegaard and back.
I like to think so.
That's excellent.
Yes.
I love it. But you know what? We forgot Plappy's nickname too, of course, the Plapp Trap. And Roy doing really, really well. But I love that because you spoke about that Aussie connection and having especially the likes of Rach with her experience there as well. That's got to help. I know that we live in a more globalised world and it's not as culture shocking as it might have used to have been, but having that Aussie presence there, it's got to help.
Oh, you're still far, far from home.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody knows, even if you live in Australia, in different cities, how difficult it can be to see family and friends and how much of a disconnect it can be to move. And I'd even say that within a city, sometimes it can be really difficult to move, from east to west, north to south and lose your little group. When you're in a completely different time zone, even talking, it's wonderful that we have FaceTime and all these wonderful technologies, but the simple different time zone makes everything more challenging. When you have a familiar face and an Aussie voice and you don't have to explain what all your silly language quirks are, that's got to help. And Roy, she's got a little bit of bogan in her like me. Love you, Roy. Don't take offence to that. I own it. The West is the best from Sydney. No, but honestly, I remember when I was in Holland and probably my first 5 years there, they would ask me every day, what did that word mean? And to me, it was quite a simple, normal word.
Yeah.
But it taught me so much of our vernacular is slang in some way. And when it's you and a group of Europeans and it's your first time in that environment, it can be a little bit strange.
Interesting. So they come up to you and be like, sorry, Keith, what did you say?
Yeah,
be like, crikey, bugger me drunk, you bloody drongo. What part of the sentence don't you cop?
Exactly.
And they'll be like,
Exactly.
I love it. Does the team management then go, no excuses for you because you have friends here. No excuses for you.
No. I think, honestly, if you're a team manager, and we'll talk about team management a little bit later because that's kind of been a bit of topic of discussion this week, but you would want, if you are getting a great rider, you'd want them to feel as comfortable as possible.
Of course.
And you'd want to make the most of that by surrounding them with people that make them feel less different, make them feel more integrated, help their journey to be part of the team. So that is why, even if we look at Glutzy O'Connor, it's quite unusual to have that he's the only the only Aussie on a French team in that team. Yeah. You often see little clusters of them.
But I'm fascinated at this because even what we've seen of Glutzy is that he's a cult figure in that team.
Yeah. Well, I
love him.
I'm a bit sad actually, Joel, because Glutzy was in Brisbane. We saw it on social media, but we couldn't turn it around to get him into the bunker.
We slid into his DMs very deep black.
We
and
did.
Unfortunately wasn't able to on this occasion. That's all right.
So
we know you're watching and listening.
He was doing a river loop. Doing a river loop around the city.
Good old river loop.
He would have done it. I've done that.
I'm going to check Strava. I wonder how many.
I'd love to know how he went.
Knocked off any records.
I reckon he might.
It's not too lumpy around the
My
river loop, I've got to say.
3 hours and 27 minutes. I reckon it's pretty safe for now. Okay, now let's talk about the off season because it is the off season. This is the Wheelhouse Podcast, episode 7. I went to Tulum in Mexico a number of years ago it was a honeymoon.
Oh,
of course, of all things, yeah.
Oh, how romantic.
Far out Brussels sprout. What a sensational trip that was. What a beautiful part of the world. And I remember thinking to myself at the time, if I ever go on to become a professional cyclist, which is on my radar, let's be fair, I reckon this might be an off-season spot for me. Turns out, Kate, and here's the segue, that I'm not alone.
You know, I was like, okay, this is good, but you know, we don't mind
like
a little wander.
Hey,
yes.
Mercs, do you reckon we need a word count for segues, just quickly? Editorial?
That was a bloody long one.
That was a long one.
Yes, Yolanda Neff. She, the gun Swiss mountain biker. She's in Chula, Mexico. She's on the beach now. She snapped a really lovely picture on the beach, embracing. I will assume it's her partner. Otherwise, she just really likes the locals. And the caption said, "Dear life, you're pretty amazing."
Oh, hashtag
blessed. It didn't say
Oh, it
hashtag
didn't,
blessed.
did it? Okay.
It didn't. But that's what I read.
That's what
I read
too.
hashtag blessed. And that,
to be fair, for those listening on, we had not discussed this. We just said hashtag blessed at the exact same time. Isn't that interesting, that reaction?
it made me laugh because I thought, oh, that's so nice.
Yes.
Mole.
Yeah. I'm so happy for you.
I'm so happy for you. It's rained every day for the last week. But we also saw, and this one made me really happy,
This
Rohan
I'm happy
Dennis. He is bit by bit working through his bucket list, Joel. And do you know why he can do that? Because he's retired, freshly retired. Jumbo Visma said goodbye to him on social media, and thanks for the ride. But he is at the Great Pyramids in Egypt. So he and his wife Mel and their kids have gone to sightsee. He said it's every bit as wondrous as he imagined, and it's a very big bucket list moment for him. So I like that. I like that he's jumping straight into the bucket list things. You miss a lot as a pro athlete.
Rohan has absolutely earned the right to go and gawk and ogle at the pyramids. Take as many selfies as you like. Enjoy yourself. You know what? Use hashtag blessed.
He should.
With
we
our
love
blessing.
Rowie, so
Yeah, you can do it, Rowan.
yes.
You, Jolanda, work to do.
Yes.
Yolanda.
Well, and Podgy was dancing. That's probably the other takeaway from this week. Last week we talked about how terrible Wout
and
Remco's dancing was. Oh, I did, yeah. That wasn't even purposeful.
Bing.
And this week it was Podgy. He was
I
getting his groove on.
Yeah. You know, the standard quip here is that, for a dancer, or what is it? For a dancer, he makes a damn good cyclist. I was like, he's pretty good at dancing too.
Absolute A for effort.
Mercy?
The guy can move.
Yes, I think he can move.
He's moved the hips.
He can move.
That's
Looks good.
He's
Thank
got
you
the
for bringing
moves
that up.
like Jagger.
He's moving his hips. He's engaging the lower half of his body.
Yes.
And I'm
Engaging
sorry,
his glutes
I'll give you
well.
a little bit of male insight here. If you're not, what's his name from Lord of the Dance, Michael Flatley,
All right.
moving the bottom half of your body can be a challenge. And it's not one you're aware of. You think, geez, I am moving bloody well here at the moment. And then you see the video later and you're like, were my feet like glued to the floor?
Is that a thing?
Well, it is for me and many males surely
There you
not
go.
Merksy because he's Mr. Smooth in everything, but many males I've spoken to over the years, we all have a little chuckle at our
Hilarious.
lack of awareness of our feet especially and our hips.
Oh, there
so
you
the
go.
first thing I noticed when I watched the one and only Tadej Pogacar dancing was that he was engaging his full form.
Yes.
And that was good.
He was engaging his full form.
Engaging his full form. You know, we'll call it full form dancing.
Full form dancing.
I love that we have a name for that in the Wheelhouse podcast.
Happy off season.
Now, one of my dearly treasured aspects of this program is that we, from time to time, call on the services of excellent advocates and champions of the sport. So we're very lucky to have you here permanently, of course. That's the best part.
Thank you.
But then we have the likes. We've had Cadell Evans. We've had
Bradley
McGee. We've had so many more. Jay Vine. Last week we had, or the week before, stepping in, we had Scott McRory. And you came out with one of the great nicknames in our history of nicknaming, which is an extensive history. You called him Scott McStory.
He tells a good story.
He tells a good story. And you know
good
what?
story.
He can tell a good story because he's carved out some incredible stories. Now, here's the segue. The 6 Days of Ghent have spun a number of Scott McStories over the years, but they've happened again. And what a bloody cool event.
It is. This year is its 101st edition. McStory Sorry,
I'm going to
Scooter.
chuckle every time you say that.
He's won 15 6 days in, 7 different countries, I believe. So he and Danny Clark are the two Australians with a super rich history in 6-day racing. It is so fun. It's like a disco. Like they drink beer. It's like track and cyclocross combined almost.
Yeah.
They're with the party atmosphere. They've got the beer tents in the middle.
Merksy.
Can McStory dance, Catherine?
Yeah, full form. Full form.
Hold on. I don't know. I don't think
Does
I've ever
he
seen
move
him
his
attempt.
feet?
I don't think so. I did force him to go running at the Rio Olympics.
I imagine he'd be a good runner.
He's not, and he has
Okay.
not forgiven me.
All right.
And he will still tell you that was a very cruel thing for me to do.
Okay, sure.
I
So-
could imagine him doing the worm.
Yeah.
Ooh, well, I mean, if he can't run, I guess he possibly can't dance. I don't know. We can ask him, but maybe the worm. Maybe
Yeah,
there's a
I'd love
wormy
to see it.
theme.
It'd
We'll
be
be
great.
somehow we'll be talking about worms later too.
Oh, I love
what
that.
What a strange
Yeah.
week.
Tease, stay tuned.
Anyway, back on
You'll
track.
want to
Anyway,
stick
so-
around.
The Ghent 6 Day is like steeped in history. It's held in November every year, and back in 2011, Mark Cavendish won with Bradley Wiggins. Now, where I'm going with this is Mark Cavendish was back, Joel, but he wasn't on the bike. He was wearing a cardigan. One could only describe as having cow prints, black and white cow prints.
Okay, yep.
Anyway, very suave. He brought his
Suave
son
guy.
along, and what they were doing is presenting the flowers and the trophy to Lotte Kopecky, who was back in action.
I love that from Cav. He's always been a big supporter of
He
women's
has.
cycling.
It's Cav and probably Robbie McEwen's the other one I'll put in the same category.
Yeah.
No matter where you saw them throughout the year,
Yep.
they knew exactly what races you'd done. They knew the results. They'd be like, oh, that was a great 7th place at whatnot. Like, they were really all over it. And it really impressed me because back then it wasn't like there were all these broadcasts to watch. And at any race, they were watching, they were racing.
Well, they were
When
racing.
we were racing too. So they weren't, sitting back and being fans. But
Yeah.
they're like the OGs of treating cycling like it's cycling, not men's cycling and women's cycling, but just cycling.
Just bike racing.
And I love that. And so
Yeah.
he's, he went out and watched the Women's Tour of Britain last year, and there were
Yeah.
pictures of him on the side of the road cheering. He took his kids out. So it's fantastic. I love it. Like that is exceptionally good role modelling
Yep.
for his male colleagues.
Yep.
And for the young boys and his son. So sensational.
I love it. That's really, really good. Good
and
on
he
him for getting out
wore, a woman's cardigan
there.
to really support the women.
Was it?
Come on.
Did it have a hood?
It didn't have a hood, no.
hood. A cardigan with a hood. That would have been
Legit cow
curious.
cardigan.
A cow cardigan without a hood, described as a woman's. Okay. Does he cheer like a Manx man? Go on, go fucking in there, go now.
I was about to say, what is that?
Go on, get there, go out. Like he's watching the motorbikes or the.
Probably.
Gah!
Knowing Cav, yeah, probably.
It's like, gee, calm down, Cav. They haven't started yet. That's awesome. Well, that's really good to see. Scott McStory, 15 wins over 7 countries in the 6 days. There you go. Throw that one at your old
There you
teammates and see how they go over in Holland with that. Hello, Merx.
Joel, we just had a call. Can you do that again for us?
Which one?
You're the Manxman. Cheers.
Lotte Kopecky. A lot of good things this year.
Lot of good
If Cav was watching her, he'd be there going, bah! Trust me. Now,
Smooth
There's the promo.
segue.
she's had a very busy off-season, as we saw, collecting awards, getting flowers from none other than the one and only.
Yep.
But her incredible 2023 campaign has been recognised on an even higher level, Catherine.
It has. Look, here at the Wheelhouse, we are very big advocates for statues. Right?
Oh, don't get me started.
And when we saw Tom Bonen's legs immortalised,
Yeah.
just legs, there's
I'm glad,
nothing else.
every
to
time
it.
I think about that, I'm like, looking at his surname, I'm glad they went for the legs.
God, oh, John.
Because Merksy and I would have gone for something entirely different.
There are no glutes, there are no other, it's just legs.
No, we would have gone for
To be
a
clear.
rocket ship.
I saw where
Did
you were
you get?
going.
You got that?
I got.
So
Thank
by
you.
rocket ship, I mean,
So she didn't get legs.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Or anything else near that.
what she get?
Um,
I can't stand it, Kate. I can't stand it.
She got a mural, Joel. So instead of a statue, she got a mural.
She got a proper mural. How big?
Yeah, like
Like a building
Big.
wall?
like a building.
You know the
wall.
ones you
the
see?
museum wall. Yes.
Stop the bus.
Yes. It's on the Koppenmuur, and there's also murals up there of Rick Van Looy, Freddie Martins.
Nice.
So Yvonne Reinders, so she's the second lady mural, but it's fantastic.
I'm loving the cycling
I'm all for that.
recognition there. That's outstanding.
I like the mural better than the legs, but
Well, as I say, they could have gone one of two ways with Tom Bone, but they didn't, so that's all right. That's awesome. What great recognition. I love that on a cultural level, on a sporting level, on an arty level as well. I love that that's sort of people that don't know nothing about cycling. We'll probably find out, that's Lotte Kopecky, who had an incredible 2023 in the women's cycling. Oh, cycling, I look, it's
very cool.
It's a circular economy, that sort of thing. I really like it. I really like it. Sorry.
Now, speaking of circular economies, let me help you with your segues today.
Okay, no, I want to talk about, this is one of the best videos I've seen recently, and that says something, because I've seen some crackers, but our guy Matty Richo.
I'm going to leave. I've got it on my computer. I'm going to leave over and
Can we
play.
show this, Merksy, for those watching on?
We can show it. Kate's got it there.
And if you're listening on, you'll be able to jump on his Twitter. We'll put it up on our page
You
as
roll
well.
it.
Yeah.
I'll chop it in. Here we go.
Okay,
roll
here we go.
Kate. Look at this.
Right.
Talk through it.
So he's got a barbell. He does a deadlift.
Yep.
He does a backflip holding the barbell.
Okay, so pretty standard day at the
So-
gym for Matty Richo. Just doing
Right.
a deadlift.
Bend down,
Bent
pick up the
knees,
bar.
straight
He
back,
takes it
yep.
to his collarbones.
60 kilos,
And
I
then
reckon.
he drops it to his waist and does a backflip.
Holding the bar the whole time.
Holding the bar the whole time. I think, it looks to me like the plates are about 15 kilos each. Those barbells are usually 20 kilos. So we're looking
I
at
gave the plates a
at
20.
least
You reckon
50.
they're 15?
At least, but I'm sorry. I don't know. Can you just stand and do a backflip without that?
Not
Let
right
alone
now.
that?
I mean, the moisture in the air and, it's
the
little-
humidity.
You haven't stretched.
Yeah. But
Obviously the economy and,
he comes from a gymnastics background.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can make my brain work on how he can possibly figure out how to do this.
And try, whenever I see stuff like that, when you go to the motocross or something, and I always think, what was going through their head the first time they tried that? He looks like he does that every day. Watching that video, it's like Nadia Comaneci doing a deadlift, basically.
How did he work up to that?
I don't know. That's the thing. What do you do first? So you perfect your deadlift, you perfect your backflips. So I know you're a gymnast, but
I don't know.
are you deadlifting? Is that just a natural exercise that you're so comfortable with that exercise? You're like, I can deadlift in my sleep. You know what? I'm so good at deadlifting, I'm going to do a backflip.
I don't know. It's insane. So by Christmas, there's your challenge, Joel.
What? Hang on, sorry. Said to take him. That's my challenge.
Yeah, your challenge.
Merksy, help me out, please.
Yeah, no, I've got a barbell on order.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Friday sale.
Should I bring it
No,
up?
look, we've actually, Joel, we want to make it easy for you.
Oh, do you?
We've got a squat rack in our
good.
garage at home, because my thighs need to keep strong, Joel, right? Just in case I'm ever immortalised like Tom Bonan, and they need to do a casting mould. So we'll let you borrow the garage.
I'll have a crack. I'll have a crack at anything.
Yeah, good. All right.
To be fair, it's
Merksy, can you film it, please?
I love that. I just Matty Richo. I just picture, yeah. I love deadlifting so much. I even deadlifted in my sleep. Matty Gump.
Right, Matty Gump.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Is that
I
the
was
second time we're
deadlifting,
going to have to
backflipping,
say
clear across the state of Alabama? Okay.
said with all due respect, please don't take offence. I think that this show needs to be worn.
Oh no, that's a compliment.
With that.
If you get it mocked in a different voice, I love you.
Yeah, okay.
Now,
All right, good.
you know who I do love? Matty Poo.
Oh, Matty
The
Poo.
Poo,
We
the
do
shoe.
Like the
Now,
Poo.
Mathieu van der Poel. Now, I will, in all seriousness, as a relative newcomer for the sport, I should get fined every time I say that, but I'm going to say it again. As a relative newcomer to the sport, one of the people that really caught my eye was, of course, Mathieu in that Tour de France debut, wearing the poo-poo replica outfits, acquitting himself beautifully with a stage win early, and then pissing off. So,
Yes.
you know what? I'm good.
Yeah. I'm good.
Winning everything, coming back, being a highly decorated site, but not being above. Can I use your shitter in the middle of a race? I love the guy.
To then go on to win the race.
Win the race after it, but now he's taken it to a new level. a new poo level. This isn't a poo theme; it just rhymes. But this is there's nothing smelly about this one. This is an online wager that has backfired spectacularly. And ready, Kate? Because I'm getting so excited that I'm stealing your segment. So here you go. It's the Wheel of Misfortune, back for another instalment with the one and only Catherine Bates. Catherine, what have you got for us today?
Yet another one. Well, I think Mathieu van der Poel has underestimated the couch peloton, Joel, because he went riding with a fella by the name of Average Rob and his mate Arno the Kid. Now, they met up last year and Average Rob said, if 10,000 people like this video, will you teach us how to mountain bike? Sure. Sure enough, 10,000 people liked the video. He taught them how to mountain bike. And I got to say, go to YouTube and find it. It is one of the funniest videos I've ever watched. Mathieu van der Poel teaching Average Rob and Arno the Kid how to mountain bike.
I love that.
I digress. Mm-hmm. On this video, they say to him, if we can, like, how many likes for you to commit to doing an Ironman?
Okay, hang on. So it's gone from a mountain bike lesson to an Ironman.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mathieu van der Poel, I think he's quite enamoured with Average Rob, so he's having a bit of fun. He says 42,000. Oh, that went out the door, didn't it? I can confirm that the Wheelhouse contributed to this because at last look, 88,000.
88,000. What?
Likes.
42,000?
Yeah. And so, that's why he's my Wheel of Misfortune, because is he really up for that?
I'd love to see.
I don't know if he meant to commit to that. But can I just say, Joel, my favourite line in the whole video at the very beginning is Mathieu van der Poel says, I don't know why you wanted me to teach you how to mountain bike. And Average Rob says, we asked Tom Pidcock and he said no.
Oh, burn.
So there you go. I think Average Rob is my new favourite YouTuber.
Average Rob is outstanding.
Like Mr. Beast. You got nothing on Average Rob, I tell you.
Who? Arno the Kid too, wearing your Oakleys, I'm sure.
Yeah.
In that one. That's awesome, mate. And look, here at the Wheelhouse podcast, we stay across all the important stories and we will be sure to follow this one and keep you abreast of Mathieu van der Poel's attempt at a 3.8 kilometre swim, 42 kilometre run and a 180 kilometre ride. Kate?
All together. Not three separate events, all together.
All in the one go. Back to you, Bates.
Yes. Well, I think that is something that I would not commit to for 42,000 likes.
No.
And I'd be less likely to get those.
Hey, Merxie, here's an idea. Double hit Wheel of Misfortune if Kate does an Iron Woman. So two topics.
I was going to say, though, Mathieu, he could go to the Portaloo between the ride and the swim.
He could. He could. He'd have multiple opportunities.
You know what? Why bother? Have you ever heard of the aqua float?
Oh God!
All right.
Look, he's not the first cyclist to do it. He wouldn't be
to do an Ironman or a poo.
I mean, at the same time.
Which one?
Joel, stop it! Oh,
we were just talking about the.
It's true. You were talking about the poo. No,
talking about the Ironman.
I can't believe I just said that. Anyway, Ironman. Cam Worth. He rides for Ineos. The Aussie Tasmanian used to be training buddies with Richie Port. He came from a rowing background. He is just really good at sport. He came second in the Ironman World Champs last year after doing a Grand Tour for Ineos.
Awesome.
So,
and you were
possible.
speaking in episode 69 about the benefits of more cross-training. And not, there was a time when it was all stay on the bike, but running, doing a bit more is better for the body, better for the impact, better for the bone density.
Podgy's dancing so that he knows how to connect his feet to the rest of his body.
Full form dancing. I'm so impressed. I cannot, but he's just incredible. Now, let's go to a more serious topic on the Wheelhouse podcast now, because it was this week announced that Global Cycling Network, GCN, the app GCN Plus that so many use to digest cycling content here in Australia, was coming to an end. Of course, that means no more direct streaming from GCN, which a lot of cycling fans, and let's be honest, not just fans, people who are actually involved and work with the sport and kind of need the content to write to or speak to, utilise, won't be able to anymore. This was met with quite a bit of sadness and dismay, not just in Australia but right around the world. It's huge, but it's big for Australia because that void of cycling coverage just got broader and darker.
It's terrible news. It's a terrible day for the industry. I know a lot of the kind of OGs who set it up there, and I know they're hurting, and it's horrible. We saw the same when Cycling Tips ended. We saw a lot of our industry colleagues going through a really tough time. I find that bit pretty difficult because when you work in a sport like cycling, so much of it is for the love of it. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't get very far in cycling journalism or the industry at all without doing quite a lot voluntarily and quite a lot just for the love of it. And that's, these guys and girls have really poured their lives and hearts into this thing. So it's a pretty disappointing day for them. To clarify, GCN will still exist.
Yes, of course.
They will still be broadcasting the races, and a lot of the commentators are keeping their jobs.
Yep.
They're still doing the show. But without the platform, without the app, there will be hundreds of thousands of people who can't access it anymore, including Australians. So the content is now going to go on Eurosport Plus or Discovery Plus. We can't get that in Australia, even with a VPN. And that's really disappointing. There's a lot of people, and especially, can I say, for the women's side, because there's a lot of women's racing on GCN that isn't anywhere else. So it's not that you're trying to find who to choose. It's not even a variety conversation. We just won't be able to find these races anymore. And quite frankly, that sucks.
It sure does.
That's a real step backwards.
We've spoken quite a bit on this show and other cycling shows as well. The coverage of the women's sport needs to greatly improve and lift its socks up, and then this sort of thing happens.
Well, and we're in a really interesting situation in Australia because for a lot of our big sports, NRL, cricket, AFL, we have these anti-siphoning laws, which means that you have a free-to-air broadcaster and then you have a separate paid TV agreement. And so no matter what, the consumer has choice. And that is great because it keeps both broadcasters on their toes to create a good product, and it really puts the sport in a great place and it puts the fans in a great place as well. Cycling isn't on the anti-siphoning list in Australia, and that means that SBS has both the free-to-air rights and the digital rights, the pay rights for things like Tour de France, the Giro, a lot of these things, which is great when SBS has the race.
Exactly.
But if SBS doesn't have the rights, it's nowhere.
You can't see it at all.
You can't see it at all. So SBS have done a really great job of getting more races and building it up, but they're a government broadcaster, and it's not realistic to just say, oh, well, why don't SBS buy the rights to every race?
Well, they're also...
and all the ones that GCN had that we couldn't watch. Absolutely.
And they're also SBS, as you say. Like when you talk about those, the agreements that the likes of the NRL have, when you've got News Corp basically pooling its assets together and throwing $1 billion at a sport to broadcast it, we're in no position to do anything like that.
No, and I mean, sometimes we do get the question, well, why can't KO or Stan or someone like that pick it up? And that's because SBS they have the rights for that too. So different agreements. But yeah, I mean, I think that the other problem in Australia is that leaves the remaining races on flow bikes, which it's a great platform, but it's an expensive
platform. It's a paywall though, and this is the thing.
Is it not? Yeah. And it's not a small paywall.
No, it's not.
It's a big paywall. And I think that in Australia, it just means less eyeballs.
It 100% does. I've had a lot to say about this. Your favourite sport being put behind paywalls. We've seen the impact of it in Australia. Hello, Merksy.
I just want to say their camera work, their camera operators, their crews, the docos they made, the stories they filed were spectacular, and it's a huge shame that that's no more. So I feel for those guys and ladies.
Some of the docos are absolutely sensational, and they don't know where they're going yet. So they have said that things like the Tour de France and the show you'll be able to see still on Discovery Plus or Eurosport, but it's where are all the documentaries going? Where are all the smaller races going that we can't see? So we'll see that. But there's been a lot of people from the industry who've piped in around this, especially after what happened at Cycling Tips. And one of those guys that we saw discussing it was Dave Everett, Shoddy Dave, friend of the show. G'day, Dave.
G'day, Dave.
And he made the point that one of the execs there got a nearly $40 million bonus this year. I'm sorry, what? And that, so they, on one hand, they say, you know, media is evolving, but it is hard to hear that and not go straight to greed and straight to profits. And I know that Cycling Tips, that's what they were talking about too. Like, you can't at all criticise Wade Wallace and them for building and trying to get bigger, but you get these big companies in who just don't care about the fans in the same way and don't have the heart. And how amazing has it been to see Escape Collective come up from the ashes of that? Maybe we will see something else pop up out of this. I don't know. Like, poor Aussies. Like, we Cycling Tips was an Aussie brand. We lost that. We had Full Cycle on for a while. Scott McStory hosted that.
Yeah, of course.
That's not around anymore. We need to get that back up and going. Cycling Central.
That's a great show. Yeah.
On SBS, they had a weekly show. So even in Australia, we've lost a lot of that really regular content along the way as well.
Merksy.
I'm thinking the Wheelhouse Plus.
Oh, I like that.
$89 a month
Yeah.
starting. But no, I've got a huge issue with paywalls sport, and I think the dedicated cycling community in Australia has proven that they will proverbially crawl over broken glass to get to see their favourite races, and even their not favourite races, just to see bike racing, men, women, doesn't matter, and this just makes that impossible. And I just think that whole look, GCN will continue to exist, but the reality of a media organisation these days is that it's a multi-platform organisation and people digest things in different ways. So they've ripped the soul out of it, basically. It's great that they've still got a forward-facing operation, but it's lost its motor in a big way, globally anyway. So it's a sad day, and I wish everyone that has been impacted by it on the ground level and all the fans all the best, and hopefully we can find a way through it with, as Merksy said, the Wheelhouse Plus at a special introductory offer of $89.95 US a day.
A day now.
A day.
Okay.
We might not have a race on every day, but you just got to stay tuned just in case.
Yeah.
Now, Kate, just give me 1 sec. I just have to call my dealer.
Your dealer?
This is a Wheelhouse Podcast, episode 70. Just talk among yourselves for just a sec. Hey, bro. It's
one of
me.
those awkward moments.
I'm just run out of. Yeah, worm. You got any worm blood? Yeah, sick. All right, hello, I'm back. Yeah, so...
I'm sorry, worm blood?
Worm blood, yeah. So you've heard of worm blood?
Sadly, it was one of the strangest... It went in the category of headlines I never thought I'd read.
Yes.
Worm blood is the new go-to for doping.
It's the
apparently.
new thing.
It's the new thing.
Worm blood. I've heard some rippers over the years, but worm blood?
Worm blood,
Look, there's science. Science speaks to it.
It is. I believe the lugworm, also known as the sandworm, Joel, fishermen will be familiar
catching those little
with
buggers
the old
on Gary Island.
Yeah, because it's fantastic for the fishies to bite. It's used as great fishing bait.
And they're bloody,
Are they long?
The old fishermen, they're bloody this big. They actually are massive.
Are they really long?
Really long.
Oh, there you go. I didn't. Yeah. I was thinking like your garden variety in your compost.
Yeah, no, I've got them covered. The ones that I've pulled out of the sand on various occasions.
Excellent. Well, look, apparently they have like super hemoglobin.
Yep.
So transports oxygen through your red blood cells. And so it can be used, medically it can be used to boost one's oxygen levels. And apparently it's very helpful medically. It's just been approved for organ donation to keep organs alive for longer, to lengthen out the time that they can from when they go from one patient to the other.
Okay.
So that's great. So it's a wonderful medical advancement.
Fantastic.
However, it's perplexing that people will really try and use anything for any kind of advantage. So there you go. Apparently in 2020, a well-known cyclist, Tour de France cyclist, approached this doctor, who's French doctor who's come up with this technology.
Dr. Frank Zal.
Dr. Zal, and he's asked if he could please have some worm blood.
He was banging on his window at 4 a.m. saying, dude, sorry, man.
Yes. Now, apparently, Dr. Zal said that's a hard no, and he went to authorities, who I'm not sure that the investigation went anywhere, but suffice it to say that, once again, cycling's in the headline. But Joel, you know what? Doping conversations are always a little bit in sport, right? Like, we'll deal with it when we have to, because while we like the light moments, you've got to cover the shade sometimes.
Of course.
But on this one, I just thought, how very bizarre. Blood from a worm. So I did a bit of a deep dive. You know I love that. And I found some other weird treatments.
Okay.
Tell me if you've heard of these,
Yeah.
because I had my eyes opened. Atletico Madrid striker Diego Costa travelled to Serbia to visit a medical miracle worker specialising in horse placenta treatments.
Big thing, the old horse plaque.
It's a cream that's meant to be good for inflammation and sore muscles. How did they even figure that out?
I know. That's always the question, isn't it? It's always
the question.
Even with worm blood. Someone years ago, you know what?
Yeah. Oh, curious.
Oh, wow.
Well, so then the next one was bee venom therapy.
Yes.
Which is meant to...
That's same with inflammation and...
inflammation and pain, injections, but it didn't take much of a search to see that if you go over the tiny bit of bee venom therapy, it turns very bad very quickly, and a lot of hospitalisations and chronic pain. So I think that's probably...
And if you're allergic to bees, maybe give it a miss.
It's probably a no for me.
Yeah.
So far, somehow the horse placenta's seeming the best. I can't believe
I mean,
I said that.
They talk inflammation from a bee venom. So anyone who's allergic to bees is like, oh, no, it's actually the opposite of reducing swelling. Hello, Merksy.
What do you do with the horse placenta?
It's a cream.
It's a cream.
Oh, you don't eat it?
No, you don't fry it up. You rub it on wherever the affected
ointment.
area.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Costa's huge on it.
Yes.
For sure.
There you go. Now, this one, Joel, this is actually legitimately banned.
Okay.
They can't test for it, but them doing it, the procedure is banned. And this is deer antler spray.
Oh.
And
deer antler spray. I'm not familiar with this one.
I'm not even kidding. From deer antlers that have been removed, they then get crushed and turned into a spray. It has very strong growth hormone, like human growth hormone kind of things. And they put it under their tongue and off they go.
Merksy.
A friend of mine got a nasal spray for performance enhancement, but he wasn't a bike rider.
What kind of performance enhancement are we talking about?
I don't know.
Dancing, full form dancing.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
Rocket building.
The lugworm hemoglobin. It's really interesting that blood oxygen debate, which of course in cycling is like, hello, get that oxygen through my blood as quickly as you can.
I mean, just quietly, EPO has a catchier title than
EPO. Than lugworm. So
Bloodworm
it's Arenicola marina lugworms, also known as sandworms, as you say. I'm interested in the biological passport as well, because that's when it becomes very shady, because it's not easy to detect / undetectable.
Well, that's the thing. It's got a very short half-life. So if you took it now and you were tested in 3 or 4 hours, gone, out of the system from a detectability point of view. But in saying that, that was the same with EPO for a long time. But the blood passport, to clarify, is each person, almost like a blood fingerprint, they have a profile of what your health looks like and all of the parameters. And without serious illness, it shouldn't really change much.
Yeah, it should
and
look
so a
the
lot
same.
of the time they may not know what you've taken, but they'll be able to say, this doesn't line up. You have taken something that has changed your blood chemistry and your blood profile, and it shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you can be sanctioned or put on rest just from that. So you don't even have to test positive to anything anymore. It's a blood passport, biological passport anomaly. And this is not, that doesn't come up in this. So your biological passport stays.
So you know what?
normal.
Credit to Dr. Zal, because you can see, if I'm a cyclist, I need to be really careful. Okay, here's something that can. What does it say? 40 times more oxygen can be transported through the blood than human hemoglobin.
Yeah, but
And
here's
you're like,
the
but
thing.
it's not banned. It's not on any list.
But it also hasn't, I mean, as an athlete, it hasn't been trialled on humans. So I don't
How do
know
we
about
know?
you, but
Yeah.
I mean, would you risk it?
Yeah, so well, how do we know it's effective? Look, someone has,
safe,
someone does.
like-
People always do. Ooh,
yeah,
horse
somebody
placenta.
always
You know
does.
what?
Horse placenta. That's the strangest one to me. And deer antlers. Like, seriously, who thought about cutting them off, crushing them up,
It's like we said,
putting them under their tongue and saying, let's see what happens if we do this.
Exactly. It's like what we said with Matty Richo before. It's like the first time you tried to do a backflip holding a barbell
Some
of 60
people
kilos.
are more creative than me.
Merksy.
I actually take goat weed.
Yeah.
Very good. Goat weed's very good. I recommend goat weed.
It is nectar of the
Is-
gods.
Yes.
Goat
There's a
weed.
nose
Very good.
spray for that too.
Of course there is. But no, look, fascinating. You know what? I want to give a shout out to Catherine Bates on the pulse with stuff like this, because watch this turn into a story, a bigger story, a Scott McStory worthy story. It will.
We'll get our reporter on the ground.
It will. This cyclist. G'day, Doc. You know, don't say anything. Again, once again, well done, Dr. Zal. Friend of the show. When's he coming on? Next week.
Stay tuned.
Dr. Zal. Okay, very, very good. Now, some departure news on the Wheelhouse podcast. Catherine Bates, episode 70, coming to you. Rod Ellingworth. The end of an era, one might say, at Ineos.
I think I left an S out there. Rod Ellingsworth, that's my bad. Yes, he is a very prominent figure in the world of British cycling. And Joel, he's a great fella. He was around the track a lot when I was racing. Really good demeanour, very easily trusted. There was a quote from Mark Cavendish quite early in his career, because he had a lot to do with him on the track as well and in the national team, that he said he learnt a lot from Rod, and it wasn't just about cycling, it was more about life. And he's come through the system. He was an athlete himself. He went into coaching and then more into management. And he is really one of those good guys in the sport with an incredible acumen around it. And he's very, very sharp. It's interesting to hear that he's departing from Ineos.
Mm-hmm.
Geraint Thomas isn't very happy about it. He's a bit sad.
GT.
Yeah, he's a bit sad.
Upset.
He said he doesn't really understand and he'll be missed. But
Well, he doesn't understand because he's hungover.
I was going to say, he's been out on the piss with him. It's like, you know, I miss his acting, and what I miss the most is the way he can really smash down a pint. 3 seconds it takes him.
what is, I think, fascinating about this is that rumour mill, love a good off-season rumour mill, is that Rod Ellingsworth and Dave Brailsford, also at Ineos, are headed over to join Sir Alex Ferguson at Man United.
Package deal.
The three of them to be the senior leadership
Okay.
team.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
I mean,
As a bundle. They're
yeah,
not
as a
like
bundle.
separately go,
no,
shit, you're here
I mean,
too.
that's kind of the rumours. But it got me thinking, like, what makes these super influential and successful athlete managers and sport team managers, what makes them so good? Like, what makes Ange Postecoglou such a superstar and so good at what he was? How can he transform teams, just one man? Because Rod Ellingsworth is in that league, like, considered that, but in what I guess is a more niche sport. So if he goes over to football,
yeah, look out.
yeah,
Where
can his career go?
I'm interested because we spoke about strategic acumen, but I find motivators like that, it is in that ability to inspire belief, that ability to inspire confidence and the conviction that you can do the job that you've been hired to do.
Well, and so here's a question. What would happen if you took someone like Wayne Bennett and put him in another
Thank you for mentioning
sport?
Wayne. Oh, so
Like,
happy.
is it just all, because it's not all just about the game knowledge. As you
No,
said,
it's
it's more
not.
about the motivator and that sort of side. So what would happen if you took, what do you reckon?
If it's a team sport, his attribute is being able to identify every individual athlete's strength, weaknesses, and what they respond to. What stimulus do they respond to? What puts pressure on them? What upsets them? What makes them anxious? And to cater to them, but not to cater to them with like a scientific, here, I've built an app to understand you, to literally put an arm around them and say, you had that thing on the weekend, how are you feeling about, how are you going, blah, blah, blah. How's your mum doing? Did she get over that? I tell you what, I watched that movie you were chatting. Whatever it is, it's communicating to them on a human level that helps them understand that they're part of this, they're wanted, they're important, they matter. And the fact that they're there in the first place, as with professional cyclists that are in the Ineos roster, they're already good at riding bikes. He knows you're good at that. So he's going to identify your strengths and what makes you human.
Yeah. Oh, that's so well put.
I love Wayne Bennett.
Is that like Ted Lasso?
A little bit. Yeah.
Wayne Bennett, sorry Ted, I love you, but Wayne is 400 Ted Lassos.
But it's the example, right? You know, in Ted Lasso, he doesn't come from a football background.
Yeah.
And he has to learn.
And he learns on the fly
But he
because
learns on the
he's a
fly.
communicator.
Yes.
Sorry, I got to leave Wayne alone. But yeah, no, it is exactly like Ted
And
Lasso.
also,
You're
Ted
right.
Lasso's not real.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, there's that, yeah.
Well,
sure.
according to my mispronunciation, Rod Ellingworth isn't real either. So,
I take full responsibility for dropping the S there.
that's all right.
I was speed
That's
typing.
what I get for reading exactly what gets put up on the autoprompter. So, not to worry, Rod Ellingsworth. Look, I'd love to see. Manchester United doesn't go after a package deal from another sport without it being an extremely enticing package deal. They're not talking about, good value for money. We'll get 3 for that. They don't care how much it costs. They're Manchester United. So they know that this is going to bring something unique to their team. And I think getting out of that football bubble as well and having someone who can bring a different explanation of a certain aspect of the game or a different lens is incredibly valuable at that elite level where the margins are so narrow. And that margin of elite, and you know this better than anyone, the margin of elite performance and what you do on the day when you turn up, if you kick that goal, the difference can be up here, it can be nothing at all. It can be a blade of grass.
One of the sports that could really do with a bit of cross-code influence, so I'm seeing an opportunity for Rod Ellingsworth if he doesn't go to Man United, the Wallabies.
Oh.
They could do with
They'd love it.
a good ball handler to come on in. And
Would he go there?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know that he's on their radar, but...
They could do with a good...
All right.
I just, I'm lost on the Wheelhouse podcast. No idea what we're laughing at, but it's all very funny stuff.
Ball handling.
Ball
is
handling.
The incredibly mature humour that is being bounced around today. So...
Okay. All right. I like it.
Happy
very much.
Wednesday. Happy hump day, Joel.
Statue for Tom Boneman. Now, we were speaking about weight recently in a positive way. We were speaking about bike weight, UCI weight around bikes. You got the manual out and you love the manual.
I do.
Your favourite nighttime reading.
Yes.
There's reams of technical regulations and, the nuance of bike weights. And basically the crux of what we were talking about is that bikes that are used in the Olympics and the World Championships must be commercially available. This is particularly applicable to track cycling.
Yes.
Which I think makes sense because I want to go buy the POG. I've got $600,000 in the bank right now to go and buy that POG replica bike.
It is. Well, I mean, because when we talked about weight last time, it's one of the elements is safety and all that jazz. But one of the elements is that you can't have them riding around on $40,000 bikes that aren't any good for the industry at all. And so it kind of safeguards the industry a bit, or it's supposed to anyway. And as is the development around technology, especially for the track. So to ride it at the Olympics, the product has to be ridden at another event. So usually for 12 months before. Usually they roll them out at the World Championships the year before. They register all of these pieces of equipment and then they spend the next 12 months fine-tuning it to decide what to ride at the Olympics. Now, this week it has come out that Team GB have released a bike with... They were on Hope Lotus bikes. That is 3D printed, Joel. But here's the kicker, £55,000.
Is that it? Kidding. That's wow.
£55,000 for a 3D printed bike. I would hope it would go very fast. Is the first thing I have to say.
What shelves commercially available? What you're not going to Kmart for this one, and with all respect to Kmart, but I'm just saying.
No.
Where?
So this is where I did my deep dive, Joel.
Yeah.
Article 1.3.006.
Yes.
I'm going to read it. The requirement of commercial availability shall be understood as equipment having to be available through a publicly available public order system. It can't take more than 30 days to confirm an order. It can't take more than a further 90 days to deliver. Blah, blah, blah. Here's the kicker. The retail price shall not render the equipment de facto unavailable to the general public. It shall not reasonably exceed market value of an equivalent similar standard bike fails the pub test, £55,000.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. How is that not de facto unavailable?
That's nuts.
WTF, UCI, here we are again.
Isn't it
It is a very clear rule that they are not enforcing. I mean, these are the people who will fine you if your socks are too long, or if you wear black socks, or if you wear leg warmers on a day that the chief judge, the commissaire, thinks that it's too warm for leg warmers. They will fine you. But hey, £55,000 bike.
Yeah, sure.
And that's deemed, available to the general public? I don't think so.
Available and ready to snatch up just in time for Christmas. You know what I think the biggest kick in the face would be? If you went online, you're like, okay, I'm going to get the Hope Lotus. Yep, here we go, 55,000. So add to cart. So $100 shipping?
Well,
you couldn't waive that for me?
I can tell you we have not been able to negotiate a discount code. You can go to bikebug.com with Wheelhouse and get 10% off on top of everything, but we couldn't get you a $5,500 pound discount on the 3D printed bike.
Not yet. Anyway.
It's ridiculous.
It's outstanding. Okay.
Yes. This writes itself. I mean, I don't go looking every week, I tell you. I promise you.
Look, well done.
For something that the UCI, something ridiculous about the UCI, it just keeps...
It's look, I wonder if Rod Ellingsworth will get one as a parting gift from Ineos.
Maybe just the 3D printer.
Or a set of fluffy balls to hang on the mantelpiece.
Oh my God.
Happy
I got it.
off-season.
I get it now. I just got it. I just got the joke.
Okay.
This is a Wheelhouse podcast, 70 episodes of serious cycling content just for you. Please like, share, subscribe. Tell everyone you know, because we have a lot of fun and we do cover a little bit of stuff as well, Catherine.
We do. The light, the shade, the soft, the hard, all the stuff.
It's easily digestible. It's mostly factual. Remember, get in early. Get onto bikebug.com. You've got that code. It's Wheelhouse. One word, all lowercase.
All lowercase.
10% off. Don't be cheeky. You only get one each. One each.
So make it count.
I get 3 because Kate and Merksy are giving me theirs as Christmas presents.
Ho, ho, ho.
I'm kidding. That's not how it works at all. You get one code, but I'll tell you what, it's handy when you're buying some excellent bike gear like Bone Phones, Oakleys, everything in between.
Butt cream.
Butt cream.
Get on it.
Horse placenta. Do they sell deer antler?
I'll have to look. Not at last peruse, although that's not what I searched for. So.
Okay, I'll just get the Lotus bike then. Okay. It's been fun. Thank you so much for being part of it. Easily digestible, mostly factual. We'll be back again to do it all over again before you know it.
Yeah.